There's a version of getting rich that gets talked about constantly. Grind harder, start a business, buy the dip. But there's a second version, one that almost nobody films a video about because it's not exciting enough to go viral. I've spent years around people worth 7, 8, 9 figures, and I noticed something strange. The habits that actually built their wealth are almost never the habits they post about. The flashy stuff, the watches, the cars, the "I made 6 figures in a month" screenshots, that's the highlight reel. The real engine is quieter than that, and honestly, kind of boring. So today I'm breaking down 5 money habits that the wealthy actually live by, but almost never talk about publicly. Some of these will surprise you. One of them completely changed how I look at spending. And by the end of this, you're going to understand why some people seem to get richer no matter what happens in the economy, while everyone else stays stuck no matter how much they earn. Let's get into it. Habit 1. They pay themselves before anyone else gets paid. Most people live by a simple rule without even realizing it. Money comes in, bills go out, and whatever's left over, if anything, gets saved or invested. Sounds responsible, right? It's actually the exact opposite of what wealthy people do. I remember asking a friend of mine, a guy who sold his logistics company for 8 figures, what his budgeting system looked like when he was starting out. I expected some complicated spreadsheet. Instead, he said something that stuck with me. He said, "I never had a system for spending, I had a system for saving, and spending was just whatever was left."
Here's the difference. The moment his paycheck or business income landed, a fixed percentage moved out automatically into investments before it ever touched his checking account. Not after bills, not after fun money. First, he treated saving like a bill he couldn't skip, the same way you can't just decide not to pay rent. Most people do the opposite. They treat saving as optional, something they'll get to eventually, once things calm down. But things never calm down. There's always a new expense waiting to eat whatever's left. That's not a coincidence, by the way. Lifestyle has a habit of expanding to match whatever room you give it. So if you want to start building real wealth, the fix isn't complicated. It's just uncomfortable. Automate a percentage of every dollar that comes in, straight into savings or investments, before you see it, before you can talk yourself out of it, even if it's just 10%. The goal isn't the amount right now, it's training yourself to live on what's left, instead of hoping there's something left over. But paying yourself first only works if you actually know where the money's going after that. Which brings me to something almost nobody enjoys doing.
Habit 2. They obsess over net worth, not income. Ask most people how they're doing financially, and they'll tell you their salary. Ask a wealthy person, and they'll tell you their net worth. That's not a small distinction, it's actually the whole game. Income is what you make. Net worth is what you keep. And here's the part that trips people up. You can have a massive income and still be broke. I've met people earning $500,000 a year who are one bad month away from panic because every dollar that comes in gets absorbed by lifestyle, debt payments, and things that look good but generate nothing back. Wealthy people track a completely different number. Assets minus liabilities. What they own minus what they owe. And they check it obsessively, some monthly, some even weekly, the same way other people check their bank balance. Not because they're anxious about money, but because it's the only number that tells the truth about whether they're actually getting richer or just spending more. Here's a trick worth stealing. Every quarter, add up everything you own, cash, investments, property, anything with resale value, and subtract everything you owe. Write the number down. Do it again 3 months later. That single habit will change how you make decisions, because suddenly a purchase isn't just, "Can I afford this?" It becomes, "Does this grow my number or shrink it?" That mental shift alone separates people who build wealth from people who just look wealthy. Once you're actually tracking the number that matters, the next habit becomes obvious, because it's about what you do with the assets sitting inside that number. Habit 3. They make boring investments on purpose. If you scroll social media, you'd think every rich person got there through some genius crypto call or a lucky stock pick. In reality, most wealthy people's core portfolio is almost aggressively boring. Index funds, real estate that just sits there collecting rent, dividend stocks from companies that have been paying out for decades.
I once sat down with a woman who built a 7-figure portfolio, mostly through a corporate job and consistent investing. I asked what her secret was, expecting some insider trick. She laughed and said her biggest advantage was that she found investing so uninteresting she never checked it. No panic selling during crashes, no chasing whatever was trending that week, just automatic contributions into the same handful of funds decade after decade, while everyone around her was jumping in and out chasing the next big thing. That's the part nobody wants to hear, because boring doesn't get clicks. But volatility is where most people lose money, not because the investment failed, but because they couldn't sit still and let it work. The wealthy understand that excitement in your portfolio is usually a warning sign, not a good one. So if your investments feel thrilling, that might actually be the problem. The goal isn't to feel something every time you check your account. The goal is to barely need to check it at all. Now, boring investing builds the base, but there's a habit layered on top of that which most people actively avoid because it feels rude. Habit 4. They negotiate almost everything. Here's something that might sting a little. A lot of people who consider themselves bad with negotiating aren't actually bad at it. They just never try because they've decided asking is awkward. Wealthy people don't share that hang-up. They negotiate salaries, rent, contracts, service fees, even things you'd assume are fixed. I know an entrepreneur who negotiates literally everything. Gym memberships, phone bills, car repairs, even the interest rate on a business loan that the bank presented as standard. When I asked him why he bothers over such small amounts, he told me something that reframed it for me completely. He said every successful negotiation isn't really about the money you saved that day. It's proof to yourself that prices are opinions, not facts. Once you internalize that, you start asking in situations you never would have before, and some of those asks are worth thousands, not dollars. Most people avoid negotiating because they're scared of hearing no. But here's the thing, the worst outcome of asking is you're exactly where you started. The worst outcome of never asking is you overpay for the rest of your life without ever knowing it. You don't need to become some ruthless deal maker overnight. Start small. The next bill you get, ask if there's a lower rate available. The next contract you sign, ask for better terms. You'll be shocked how often the answer is simply yes, because most people never even ask. And that mindset, treating prices and terms as flexible, connects directly into the final habit, one that isn't really about money at all. Habit 5. They build a personal board of directors. This one surprised me the most when I first noticed it. Wealthy people rarely make big financial decisions alone. Not because they don't trust themselves, but because they've built a small circle of people smarter than them in specific areas. An accountant, a lawyer, a mentor who's already walked the path they're on, and they actually use them.
Most people avoid paying for advice because it feels like an unnecessary expense. Ironically, that's often the exact decision that keeps them stuck. A good accountant can save you far more in taxes than they cost. A mentor who's already made your next mistake can save you years. The wealthy treat expert advice as an investment with a return, not a cost to minimize. I remember a business owner telling me he almost signed away a huge chunk of his company early on because a contract sounded fine on the surface. A single hour with a lawyer, an hour he almost skipped to save a few $100s, ended up protecting him from a mistake that would have cost him millions down the line. That's the pattern. The wealthy don't try to know everything. They just make sure they're never the smartest person making the decision. So here's the challenge. Think about the biggest financial decision you're facing right now. Is there someone one conversation away who's already solved this exact problem? If there is, that conversation is probably the highest return move you can make this month.
And so,
There you have it. 5 habits that rarely make it into a highlight reel, but quietly separate people who build lasting wealth from people who just look like they have money. Pay yourself first before life finds a way to spend it for you. Track your net worth, not your income, because that's the number that actually tells the truth. Keep your core investments boring on purpose. Negotiate more than feels comfortable. And stop trying to figure everything out alone. None of these habits are complicated. That's actually the whole point. Nobody's stopping you from starting any of them today, this week, right now. The only thing standing between you and the version of your finances you actually want is whether you decide to build these into your life or just nod along and close the tab. But here's the next problem you're going to run into. Knowing these habits is one thing. Actually sticking to them when life gets messy, when an unexpected bill shows up, when the market dips, when you're tempted to skip the automatic transfer just this once, that's where most people fall off.
If you want to know exactly how the wealthy stay disciplined even when their motivation disappears, that's a whole video on its own, and it'll be right up on the screen for you. But don't click on it just yet. If you want more of this, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you over there.